So I'm talking to Brian Nolan, who is one of the original founders of the GLAS Garden in Ballymun. Brian, tell us how the GLAS Garden here in Ballymun started and how you got involved.
It started when the local parish priest asked us if we would like the land to start a community garden, to build it up and to have the local people involved with it if they could. But the first day coming in and just seeing plots and concrete and slabs and everything, we had to clear actually the earth out of the garden and get compost to develop all the plots, because we knew we weren't going to grow anything unless we had the garden clear of the rubbish and concrete and wood and all that. That's the only way we could start it.
And what was the thinking? Why did the priest approach you to say that?
I don't know. Just because we were local and he knew me and he didn't really know Samantha, but he approached me about developing the land as a community plot, and we said, well, we'll give it a try and see if it works.
And what did you think was going to be needed to make it happen?
An awful lot of work. I mean, when you were talking about concrete slabs and wood and building stuff, that we had to clear the area of that first before we could even think of starting the garden. And that's what we did. We cleared it.
And what was the first stuff you planted?
Rhubarb.
Rhubarb.
Rhubarb was the first thing. We were just trying to see, would it grow in the garden? We weren't really that garden minded. And I think it was only when Global Action Plan came on board that they helped develop the garden to the way it is today.
And how did that come about? When did Global Action
I'm
Plan?
not so sure about that, to be honest with you, but it did come about.
Did you ask Global Action Plan to help you out?
Well, we found out was there anything in the area that dealt with gardening that could come on board to help us develop the garden, that sort of way. And we had over years, we had different groups come in, like St. Michael's, and we had disability groups coming in, and guys and girls that were unemployed, that for their social welfare they had to work in the garden twice a week, because we were only open Tuesdays and Thursdays, because we didn't really have that many people. We just asked around trying to get people involved to come into the garden, but a lot of the people just want to get paid for the money. They want the money for the work, and so they weren't interested.
And what was it that you were trying to achieve? You were saying...
We're trying to achieve to develop the garden into something. We're trying to develop it in a way that we have people coming in, that locals would come in, and if there was any fruit or any vegetables available, we would share it out among them. Because at that time, that's what we did with any fruit over the years that we did get, that we shared it out among different people that were working in the garden. Sort of way, or the locals. I said the locals, if there's onions going there or salad going, come in and get it. There's no problem, no money involved.
And how do you think that the garden here was different from the other community gardens that did spring up in Ballymun at the same time?
At very last now, this garden is developing every day. I look around and I see different things being developed, different plants grown in the garden, and it seems to be coming all together, and it's a joy for me to see it from where we were in the beginning to where we are now. It's really I'm really happy that the garden is developing.
And if you come back in 10 years or 15 years, what do you hope to find here?
Well, if I'm still here in 10 or 15 years, I just hope that it keeps on developing, Garner, and that we see more vegetables growing, I think, well, that's me. Rather than flowers, I want to see vegetables growing in the garden, and I hope that'll be the case.
And why vegetables and not flowers?
I'm not a flower person, really, honestly. I always thought that a community garden was mostly for vegetables, for developing vegetables. I know flowers are nice. I know they are. They smell nice, and so forth. But I'm still thinking that when you develop a community garden, that it's developed mostly for vegetables.
And thinking back to your time at the beginning, what are the main lessons that you learned, and that Global Action Plan learned along the way?
That you need people. You need people to work in the garden, to know what they're doing, to maybe have them spread out into different plots, that you'd have 4 or 5 on a plot, and then another 5, and so on through the garden. And I think in that way it will develop. You know, that's the way I see it. It's just fantastic to see. I'm just hoping it'll always be a community garden. You know, I'm really delighted now that I got out and came down to see what was being grown in the garden.
Well, we're at Global Action Plan, we're delighted that we have people like you who had the foresight of starting such an important initiative.
Well, it was good. It was very good of the priest. The priest knew me very well. So when he used to come in, and we'd make him a cup of tea. Every week or two, he'd just come in and he wouldn't go and look around there, but he'd come in and come inside the gate and he'd come in and just talk to us. But it's just fantastic. And it's really cheered me up, because I didn't think the garden had developed the way it has.
Thank you.
It's really cheered me.